This is for the Evergreen National Bank
Okay,
signer stuff. They have to have these signature cards
okay,
updated. If I don't have a current driver's license for any of you, I will, let you know.
can
but
I get
think-
you to bring me something besides a red pen? Oh, I've got just red today. Let me confirm that there. Jar pens. I was pointing at the jar, but that's.
Oh, I didn't.
No worries.
And that will show the same thing that you're seeing there. So if I screw up, you know.
So I'm just copying and pasting the URL from the. That's the most important thing to remember. And you have to remember.
Well, that's where I have the problem.
And the thing is, you have to remember, it's gonna have the last one on there, so you can delete it and then paste the new. So I was trying to take a mental note of what were the last three, like Z5E,
Yeah.
and then I can try to make sure they're deleted before, but just in case, just know that you may have to delete. And then you go back to indexing, and you say, show library display. And then you know which one that's going. And then I just go back to Zoom. And now we can mute, because
Or undecided.
Unhappy.
Or just apathetic.
We'll just. We'll see how things. Yeah.
Hi there, Rick. You're here officially now. You were just like kind of like a bystander.
He was audience.
You are well immersed.
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. TV right there.
Yes.
Good to see you guys.
You thought you'd get a bigger office, didn't you?
I thought so, and I was wrong.
Big sprawling view, the mountains or something like that.
I think they showed them this room first.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
Free parking.
What kind of building am I gonna be working
Corner
on?
office,
Yeah.
both corners.
Yeah, parking's free.
Lunch on the veranda.
What a view.
Where do you think you are?
You got it, didn't you?
Where's the veranda?
I was
Okay. But it's gone.
Oh, no, that was good.
Oh, yeah. People would go on into the smoking porch, but also.
I'm gonna give Jerry just a minute or two.
Okay. Is he coming live?
Oh, Jen,
yeah.
do you know if Jerry's coming?
He said he was, but I thought.
Just saw small
What
pictures.
kind of entertainment?
I'll give him a couple of minutes then.
Oh, yeah, I saw those. Yes.
Cool.
I love Waldorf, right? Anyway.
I haven't been on veranda. I'd love to go sometime.
Winter.
I have
Snow.
just a little house. I have not. Well, I
Shocking.
From Mills.
Well, I was driving up from Denver
You got
Sunday
that on short list.
and
And it's
got to
stunning.
Georgetown.
Oh,
I left
It's all the
about
way up there.
How long does
10:30
it take to drive up
and
there?
it must
You-
have
I mean, when you
started
went up- I mean,
snowing
obviously you
pretty
didn't walk
pretty
out.
thereafter, 'cause
Just
it's
steady.
Whenever I go on the passenger side of the drive,
Yeah.
so.
And
we
we
gotta
had-
go
we had-
indoors and sort of catch our breath.
And
continue
I was
on.
glad I waited it
So
out
it's
because
probably.
it melted
45
so
minutes
fast
to
on
walk.
the pavement.
Yeah, you just
We
crawl.
had to shovel.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Roads are fine this morning.
And Santiago is maybe another. Was that 15 minutes?
Okay, so an hour or so.
I drove
to get there. That's not
The
bad.
roads were not
I
bad
mean,
at all.
especially when, of course, it's possibly only what, 15 miles and 10 miles an hour.
Exactly.
We're going so slow. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
because.
Slushy.
You're actually on the former rail bed
Yeah.
of Waldorf, so it's a narrow gauge rail.
But it
See, now
wasn't
they
like I
still
was
have
lying
that- that-
No,
that
it's just
smoking
messy.
range. They-
Yeah.
we could-
And you truck.
Yes.
We could watch the trees go up.
Or just have a veranda like that and it's disgusting.
And I just
watched it before it came up.
Yeah, it's a magic place. It's beautiful. So
I saw emails about it. There's some.
Yeah.
No, but I'd like you to get us one.
I would want to go up with someone who knows, you know.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Of course, the.
Yeah, yeah. You know.
One time I rode up and I drove an ATV down.
On here in
I
town.
know.
As the driver of the
Yeah.
ATV.
Oh, wow.
That was a lot of fun. Just to,
A little bit chain, you know, it all drags you through.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're.
Probably wouldn't make it.
In Rush, they just have, isn't there, it's like section, this arm that comes up and then it just like opens up and then it just kind of goes around your car.
Oh, yeah, you go for walks.
And that's the.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That would
Good
be-
It doesn't have like a roller. It's just this thing that goes around your car and sprays. But it puts on degreaser and then it waits for it and then it lets it kind of absorb and then it just sprays out and you put something else. So I was really surprised where it got all, Susan tried to make it up there. And Ford Bronco too.
Oh, and it's,
Two it's just, you know, then this whole thing, I guess the story goes that it's just fast. Because that's down, two sons coming down the plates. They literally picked her up out of the basement. Well, there's some outskirts of it.
Thanks.
But the smell
Wow.
travels.
Sure.
Hospitality. Yeah, like get out of my way and then.
Yeah.
Or at least take somebody down and
Yeah.
get to the place where you can get a car. Drive back up. No.
All the way around. One smell or another.
Interesting.
Well,
That's got the details if you ever want to hear that story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start.
yeah,
We can go.
I think so. I think
I'll
so.
tell you what.
Okay, I was waiting for Jerry, but I think it's 6:05, so we'll go ahead. I'd like to call the meeting of the Georgetown Board of Selectmen to order. It is Tuesday, April 26, 2022. And let's start by joining in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Do you have an agenda?
All right. Roll call. I am Police Judge Lynette Kelsey. Rob Connell.
Here.
Deanne Powell.
Here.
Thank you. John Jennings.
Here.
Paul Hinton is not here tonight. Mary Smith. Here. And Rich Barrows.
Here,
Thank you.
Can you guys hear us okay? Rich and Dan?
Do a sound check. Good.
Jerry.
Good. And here comes Jerry. Excellent. Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda tonight? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make that motion.
I'll second, John.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agendas as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Nobody's out there online, so we will go on. The payables that we have tonight are from April 8th through April 21st, 2022. Any comments or questions on the payables?
I'll make a motion to approve the payables dated April 8th through April 21st.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the payables from April 8th through April 21st, 2022. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Motion passes. Minutes that we have tonight are from our last meeting, which was a regular meeting on April 12th, 2022. Any comments, corrections, additions?
Oh, is it? my
Yes,
turn?
Deanne?
Jerry was gonna get back to us and verify the validity or not so of having a quorum at the meeting of the 19th, and I haven't heard about that.
Okay.
We can certainly address that later, but not on approval of the minutes. But I intend to address that.
Okay. All right.
So I move to approve the minutes of April 12th, 2022.
I'll second, John.
And speak up as much as you can, so make sure the recording gets in there. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 12th, 2022 regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed?
Being opposed to look like.
Yes, I saw that. You should also say aye if you're,
Sorry, I was muted because there was a dog in the background. I
Okay.
would really like that information in before I vote to approve. I think it's key.
Okay, first thing on our new and unfinished business is Tracy Troya is here, representing Clear Creek County Health and Human Services. And this is a request for support, a donation for the Mayors and Commissioners Youth Award. And Tracy, welcome.
Welcome, thank you. My name is Tracy Troya. I am with the Clear Creek County Department of Human Services. Been with them approximately a year here in May. One thing I've learned and now am a part of is the Mayor and Commissioners Youth Award. It was a little bit of history. It was taken with the Denver's mayor's office for approximately 30 years. They awarded 3 kids within our county, and it encompassed Adams, Jefferson, Gilpin, Douglas, Clear Creek, and Denver. It got to be too large, too much. So approximately 12, 15 years ago, they went ahead and handed it off to the individual communities, allowing us to continue with the mayor's and commissioner's name, and then take it upon our own to fund it and then award children of our community. A little bit about this award is we award up to 7 children between the ages of 13 and 19 from all, in the past it was just from schools. So we have opened it up to emancipated, sorry, I gotta go through my notes here, a little nervous.
Doing good.
We've expanded it now to also, let's see here. I don't have that one highlighted, but anyway. Homeschool. Homeschooling, school emancipated children, and then also opening it up from just the principals and counselors to the community as well, if they feel there's a child to be awarded. A number of the children come from a variety of adversity. They come from families with drug and alcohol addiction. They've been sexually or physically abused, bullied, questioning sexuality, learned disabilities, levels of mental illness, lived in multiple homes for many different reasons. Clear Creek County Commissioners and the town mayors have in the past always supported this program, and the town councils have also donated money to help offset the costs. The program is necessary. It does give a chance to recognize a section of our populace that would not ordinarily get recognized for their hard work.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you. I've attended the ceremony for the last 3 years, and it's really, really moving to hear the stories and meet the kids and the families, and you know, they deserve everything that they're being recognized for, all their hard work. So in the past, we have donated $500 if everybody is good with that.
I guess I should touch on that. We do
Oh.
give them a $500 award.
Mhm.
In the past, it went towards scholarship or tuition. We have opened it up to also include a driver's ed, summer camps, or, you know, sports clubs of
Yeah.
choice, technical schools, tools and such.
Mhm.
All money is filtered through our department. It's not something that is just handed to the youth. And then in addition, they are awarded a laptop. We also provided them with a 1-year Microsoft Office subscription and buds and apps.
They're asking for
Okay.
1,000.
Hmm?
They're asking for 1,000.
They're asking for whatever we can.
Okay. I just didn't know. if
And
you
what
did
we
that.
feel.
Got it.
We did, 1 year, we did 1,000, but it was because we hadn't done any donation the previous year. So our standard is 500.
Okay.
So if we can go with more if you wish, but
Jared, you want to kick in?
Tracy, you mentioned it, and is this the first year that they've expanded it to different financial support other than typical college scholarship or, technical school?
Yes, reason being is the thought process, they revamped it, and opened it up, there was a little question as far as, lost for words there, but yes, they did, and the reason being is, 13 to 15, a scholarship or
It's still kind of
school
out of
is
reach.
still a far reach for them. So we want to give them the opportunity to utilize that to excel in a sport that they, may have interest in, or driver's ed that they, might need some assistance with, yes.
Maybe we should look at increasing it a little bit more, 250, another, so 750.
Does that seem,
But our contribution goes into the pool to support all the county kids, right? This isn't, it's,
right?
just for the record.
Right.
Yeah, so Clear Creek County gives us a budget to work within, and then the donations help offset that. And it goes into that.
Yes, Deanne?
I'd really like to see it go up to $1,000. I think that we're supporting our kids and it's pretty darn important.
Okay. How does everybody feel about,
I've actually heard some pretty sad stories that came out of the school system. I'm sure that you
oh,
know.
yeah,
I think the more contribution that we can give, the better of an opportunity we can provide.
okay,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Yeah.
Rich, are you, okay? All right, who would like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Or how much money?
We'd like to donate it, we'd like to make a motion to donate $1,000 to the mayors and commissions
Youth Award.
Youth Award.
youth award.
Thanks.
Now I'll second.
And-
Sorry, I was quick on the second.
You did the second, Marion? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve donating $1,000 for the Mayors and Commissioners Youth Award. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job.
You too. Okay, next up is the parking lot lease update that we have a parking lot lease with the Hotel de Paris. Kevin Kuharik is here.
Hi, Kevin Kuharik. I'm Executive Director of Hotel de Paris Museum, which is owned and operated by the National Society for Colonial Dames of America in the state of Colorado, so I'm their authorized agent. And so the lease automatically renews, and so we're in good shape there. But over the years, this is probably the third version that I've seen, and something slipped by back in 2020. And that was our ability to close the lot for a use other than parking. In 2012, so 10 years ago, we did that. History Colorado approached Hotel de Paris and wanted to do an artist market in Georgetown adjacent to a historic site to try to draw the public's attention to historical resources around the state. And so they worked with a group called Horseshoe Market, and it's sort of a flea market, high-end Etsy sort of goods, a lot of different vendors. They were going to do it up at the train because History Colorado owns that property, but that just wasn't suitable because it's visually so removed. So they decided to approach us and do it here in the lower lot at the corner of Taos and 6th Street. And so at that time, the process was for the Colonial Dames and the museum to give the town a 30-day notice of closing the lot for public parking and using it for those 2 days for this artist market, and then returning it to the town of Georgetown for use as public parking. In the current lease, that ability to change its use briefly is not addressed. And so, this Christmas market that's coming up, HGI has shown some interest in doing something similar to the Horseshoe Market. They set up booths in the street last year, and it was a bit congested, so the fire authority or the police, or maybe both, did not want those booths there. And so the thought was just to move them into the parking lot for Christmas market. So it'd be a total of 4 days, but it'd be 2 days, 5 weekdays, and then 2 more weekend days. And so we're amenable to that. We've talked to HGI's representatives, and the Dames are open to it, I'm open to it, and HGI is interested in it. So I guess we just need to try to figure out what the process would be, since it's not included in the present lease. And so Jerry, I need your guidance here on this.
Easily done. The lease is in your packet. You'll notice that paragraph 5A does reserve rights to the lessor, and that paragraph reserves various other rights. But 5A actually says that lessor can close the lease premise after 4 p.m. for its private use. My suggestion would be add another sentence at the end of 5A. It would say the lessor may also close the lease premises. And then we need a little help filling in upon 30 days notice prior to a designated, a special event designated by lessor.
Okay, that's fine. I would
Letting
lean
you kind
on
of
your expertise for how to
Yeah.
phrase it. And I think maybe we don't specify time of day, maybe.
Oh, certainly not. And
Yeah.
that's what I've said. May also close the lease premises with 30 days prior notice to the
Date, I guess.
Yeah.
30 days gives that time frame. So if you need a time frame of some sort.
So then we want to strike out the private use for special evening events, so just make the verbiage
Uh,
correct.
no, I think they also want that.
Would you
Yes.
still want the evening one, and so we'll just
Yes,
do the
in
and,
case we
okay,
have
Yeah,
like
we're adding
a
to
wedding
it.
rental.
yeah, okay,
Sure.
So-
okay.
And is that gonna be, I mean, are you gonna set that up in that lower lot and in the upper?
I think it'll just be the lower lot.
Lower, okay.
Yes, but since the town leases both the lower and the upper lot, I would like both to be included, but we may not use the upper lot for
Okay.
that purpose.
Okay,
And so, I don't know how many vendors, but I would assume it would be just the lower lot based on the amount of vendors that were in this block last year. That would be excessive room if we used both.
okay.
Would that closure be 1 day, more than a day?
What I was
Hard to say.
picturing was, the Friday before Christmas market, the lot closes at 6 p.m. in this specific case.
Sure.
And then it's closed until, I would say, 6 p.m. on that Sunday. So close on Friday, and then basically it's HGI Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday morning, it can be returned to the town for public parking through 6 p.m. Friday again. And then HGI can have it for the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
But do you
So
want
for
this-
longer periods of
Yeah.
time and for consecutive days?
Yeah, so it's 2
As-
consecutive and then 5 skip and 2
As
consecutive.
prearranged
Yeah.
between the lessor and the lessee,
However you
perhaps.
want to do that.
But you want this more vague for, or more open to potentially other events too, I mean, we don't want to just
Yeah,
Sure.
we
tie
can,
it to Christmas.
the
market.
interest in
draft that.
site rentals
Got it
is
here.
going up. Just to give you some context, in the last 12 years, we probably had 4 site rentals. And this year, we already have 3 on calendar. And so I do expect at some point, the parking lot will need to be reserved for an evening event, but at this point, I don't know when or where that'll happen. but
We'll all
it
get
looks to be
invites though,
good.
right?
They're private events. You gotta be good friends with these people. It's so that's basically it. And then I also been in contact with Rick, the town administrator, and we're working to set up face-to-face where we can discuss the lease particulars about it, so I can get it familiar with the town's responsibilities as the lessor, and also to explain who the Colonial Danes are, since it's sort of a mysterious shadowy group.
You really ought to know them. To know them is to love them.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. and a little bit about the property since we're.
And
across the
you can give me a
street.
tour of the museum too.
I would love to do that.
My
Oh, it's
mother-in-law was
fascinating.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, that's everything that's on my mind with the lease, but
Okay,
we're very happy as a group to provide this service to not only the town of Georgetown, but to visitors to Georgetown and the retail and service businesses in the historic commercial district. We feel that that's part of our mission, is to encourage community, and so it's easy to overlook that that's part of how we do it. But we're very proud of that, and we're glad that to be in a position to be able to do this for everybody. So,
Appreciate it.
okay, all right. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. And
From an action item standpoint, it's on your agenda. It may be easy enough to take a motion approving, because the lease itself, as was pointed out, renews automatically, so you don't have to renew it. It would be a motion to approve an amendment to the lease, paragraph 5A, to add a sentence to read something like, and we don't have to wordsmith it too much, but a sentence to read: the lessor, which is Colonial Danes, may also close the lease premises for a longer period or periods with 30 days prior notice to the lessee, period. Right? So a longer period or periods, and that could be half a day, it could be a week, because that's a longer period or periods, and I wouldn't be inclined to even mention special event, et cetera. It's just give us 30 days notice that you're gonna do that.
Great.
Okay,
Well, I'll make that motion.
very good.
I'll second. the motion.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the existing parking lot lease with the Hotel de Paris as stated by our town attorney. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks good. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
We're kidding about the invitation.
Parties are coming up.
Yeah.
So the next thing on our agenda is ordinance number 2, series 2022. It's an update to the an ordinance adopting by reference the National Electrical Code 2020 edition and amending chapter 15.24.010 of the Georgetown Municipal Code regarding penalties for violations of the adopted National Electrical Code. This is second reading, and it is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at this time. It is 6:28 p.m. Do we have anyone from the public here to make comment?
We do not.
Okay. So, seeing no public,
On an electrical.
we will close
Those
the
guys.
public hearing.
I'm shocked.
Right.
And it is still 6:28. Any questions from the board on this ordinance? Okay,
Want your motion?
would you like to?
I'd love to make the motion.
All right.
I move to approve ordinance number 2, series 2022,
On second reading?
on second reading.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2, series 2022 on second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Agenda item number 4 is, there are some resolutions regarding bank signers. And we need to add our new administrator to our signatures on our accounts. Resolution number 5, series 2022, a resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, authorizing persons to execute town checks and exercise authority with respect to the town's bank account at Evergreen National Bank. Yeah. Let's take these in one by one. I did have a question for you. Do you, you said you had the third in your name?
That's my final.
Do you want that in? Okay, let's add that. So,
But you will have to sign that.
I always do.
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
All right, just.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
so, and we'll just assume that's on each of these, so.
I mean, is the reason why I'm not on here, you know something?
Mary Smith is retired and always here to sign.
So, all right, so resolution number 5, series 2022, any discussion? Everybody good with who's on there? Okay. Who would like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve resolution number 5, series 2022.
Okay,
Second, John.
it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 5, series 2022. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have resolution number 6, series 2022, a resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, authorizing persons to execute town checks and exercise authority with respect to the town's municipal court bond bank account at Evergreen National Bank. And same change to the signatures, just to correct Rick's signature as it's listed. Any discussion? Who would like to make a motion to approve resolution number 6?
Rob needs to.
Make that motion to approve resolution number 6, series 2022.
Okay, it's been moved and
I'll
seconded.
second it.
There we go. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 6, series 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And next one is resolution number 7, series 2022. A resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, designating persons allowed to have access to the town's safe deposit box.
She's wringing her hands as you read.
And who's ringing? I am not.
No, pardon.
Okay. So, who would like to make a motion to approve resolution number 7?
On a roll. I'll make a motion. to-
Yeah, we're,
With the same change.
on all of them, we're doing that same change to Rick's official name.
Is everybody okay?
Just
Is
roll
there
cards.
I'll make a resolution, or I'll make a motion to approve the resolution number 7, series 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 7, series 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. And last but not least, we have resolution number 8, series 2022. A resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, authorizing persons to execute fund transfers and exercise authority with respect to the town's accounts at Colorado Trust, C-Safe, and Citywide Bank.
All right.
And same change in Rick's name.
Don't you sign it, Dick Grant? Yeah.
With the
With the
third
third.
Third.
Oh, got it.
on all of
He's
these.
the third one,
Yes.
carrying a heavy burden.
Come on, buddy.
Well, I make a motion to approve the resolution number 8, series 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 8, series 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have a request from Silver Plume for a letter of support. Deanne, do you want to Oh, Cindy's here.
Thank God.
She's much more eloquent than I am.
Yeah, asked me actually to come and do this.
Wonderful.
And I hope that our new town administrator.
The camera's right behind you.
Does not always think that the board of selectmen behave in this manner.
You want to sit down?
It's your best side, Cindy.
This is very strange.
You could just right there in front, kind of.
That's the camera.
You can sit over
You
here.
wanna sit over here, you're more than welcome.
Well, okay. if I'm over
Yeah,
here,
perfect, that's
That
what.
works.
you're-
Well, that is the downside of sitting there.
We'll make
Yes,
sure he
that is the
behaves.
downside of it. They really aren't always. They seriously.
Assassins.
We're always very
Assassins.
friendly and
Always
amenable.
All right.
Okay,
I'm gonna go through this very quickly, and, very quick, you can't quite see this. You all know what this is.
Map.
Georgetown Selectmen.
Exactly.
It looks like a map though.
Yes, it may not, so give me just a second. Historic district couple plans, and you all know the story that when BLM wanted to get rid of the lands, the jurisdictions in this landmark district, which is all of us, this being Georgetown, this being Silver Plum, the jurisdictions asked to get the BLM lands, right? In order to protect our hillside so we don't get overgrown in places we don't want to get overgrown. So all the yellow up here belongs to you guys. This orange belongs, this map faded. It's not orange very much anymore, but you know, it's out in the sun over there.
It's a tangerine.
Anyway, that's Colorado Division of Wildlife, that's CPW for the sheep keep. And this is, the blue is History Colorado's, and the purple is Silver Plums. And you can see that we've managed to pretty much take care of our borderlands, all except Silver Plum, right here. And so what has occurred is that, and all of the white stuff, all of these things are private mining claims.
Right.
And all of these mining claims contain a residential building right, which makes it very, very interesting.
Because they overlap one another. and
Well,
some
it's
are on
not
top
only
of
that they
each other.
overlap one another, if you look at this, you figure out the fact that even though it's a hillside, you know, some people say nobody would develop because it's a hillside. Yeah, right. We know that that is not to be true. So the town of Silicon has for some time, this also is Brown Gulch. And Brown Gulch is the original silver mining district in the state of Colorado. It's the first silver mining district in the 19th century. So it is one of the key reasons that we end up being a national landmark district, because we are not a landmark district because we have pretty buildings. The landmark designation talks about the fact that we represent 19th century mining boom in Colorado. That's our basis. So when it became known to folks in Silver Plum, though it is not broadly known, that this area right here, 95 of those parcels are in an estate, and the estate is going to liquefy to benefit its heirs, which you expect estates will do. The town of Silver Plum reached out to the owner and said, or could we make some form of deal? So I have one of these for everybody. And the reason I'm telling Georgetown this is that we would love to have your mayor as the co-responsible folks for the landmark district. We would love to have your mayor be authorized to write a wonderful letter of support, our police judge. There is that. But to write a wonderful letter of support. All the red on there is all of this.
That's all the 90,
Okay.
that's the 95.
What about all that above there?
What about the right
We're
side?
getting that.
We're not getting to that. We
Yeah.
wish we were getting to
one
that.
at a time.
This is 95 claims. We had a preliminary appraisal done. Mining claims are going for between $2,000 and $3,000 an acre. no matter where they are. I mean, even if they're totally inaccessible, these aren't inaccessible. You guys, lots of you have been on the 730 road up there. This is the 730. This, of course, is running right, well, this is the interstate, but running right along the edge here is the frontage road. So these claims, if you notice on this, where the red comes down to that checkered line, that checkered line is the frontage road and the greenway. And so these claims include the quarry, they include the Henty Mill site, they include the smuggler, that big frame that you have as you come out of Silverblum. So they include some really interesting land right along the furnace road, and then a lot of this mountainside. Yes, I do wish that this gets steeper even, so. they have
Not
to-
so much interested about the.
Yeah, well, we have a great deal of interest, you know, it's gonna be hard enough. The seller's price is 200.8848 acres, and the seller's price is $500,000. And the seller wants the town of Silverplum to have it. Because the seller's family actually has had it since 1949, and that's because they were associated with Silverplum. So if it can possibly go to Silverplum, but the seller can't give it, it's in an estate, you don't get those kinds of options when you have a number of people to deal with in an estate. The due diligence, they also want to put a conservation easement, so the town of Silverplum can't wake up one morning and decide they're gonna sell it off for commercial purposes.
They get a tax break with regard to that reason?
The towns can't get a tax credit.
Yeah.
Yes, towns can't, but if we could arrange it so the owner could, but they don't need one, and it's a very long and arduous process, and the estate doesn't need it. But that's what's going on. What else did I plan to tell you about what's going on? Oh, there are 21, we talk about contributing structures in this town for our design review because they contribute to our landmark district. There are 21 sites on this mountain that are contributing structures. There's also a 12-seater privy that still exists up there.
Wow, it beats out the Hamill House one that's only got 6.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but it's in front of the terrible mine. It was for workers. And it's really curious because they built it so you couldn't ever relax in the space.
You gotta get back to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. There are all kinds of things still left on mining sites in this area. There are 21 of, there are actually 60 sites in Silverplum that have been put onto the register. Eric Twitty, who is the best known mining historic archaeologist, has reviewed this territory, and it's his report, and it's been all the sites have Smithsonian numbers. It's been adopted by the state office. So we're gathering in 21 sites. It's also habitat to the western herd of the bighorn sheep. Yeah, there are lots of reasons you don't want it to be developed up there. And so for our police judge's letter, I have plenty of fodder I can send you.
Wonderful.
All kinds of reasons. The other thing is that while it has been a mined landscape, it has not truly been mined in about 100 years, which means it has been heavily visited by the Division of Reclamation, Mining and Safety. They've known they're dealing with historic sites. They have been incredibly respectful as far as how you close openings, so not to do in your site and all of those kinds of things. But it also means it's stable. If you start messing with mine tailings and stuff that have stabilized, you're gonna create a mess. And so another reason, the basic reason Silverplum wants this is that Silverplum is not pro-development. Period. They want to remain Silverplum. The reason that I got involved was because I think every 50 years you should buy a mountain. And it seems to me that it's close to 50 years since we bought our own. And we did. So, isn't it a time to help, sort of say to somebody, cheer somebody else on? And I want the boards to know, we haven't tried to make a big flash in the newspaper or anything like that. We will get more news about it as the summer goes on. Silver Plume has signed a letter of intent with the owner on February 28th this year. She's giving us a full year, which is going to require. We have as of today, $97,000 of local pledges, and a recommendation from Open Space Commission to the Board of County Commissioners to match that up to $100,000. So by the time we get to May 17th, I've got to figure out the last $3,000, but I figure we'll figure that. And anyway, this is for your information.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave the maps here with downstairs, and anybody who wants one can certainly have one. And I would like to have a letter directed to Mayor Sam McCloskey. And hopefully that the town of Georgetown as the other jurisdiction within this landmark district fully supports the efforts, and it's in keeping with the efforts all the rest of us have made to make this strange little place stay a strange little place. Sometimes folks like to act really strangely.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much. I would be happy to. Is everybody in
Yeah.
favor of doing that?
Yeah.
I presume?
I'm in
Okay,
favor.
all right.
Somebody make a motion. to
Yeah,
accept
it'd be good that it's in the minutes. A
Yep.
proper motion would be to authorize the police judge to sign a letter of support for the Silver Plume Mountain project to be directed to the town of Silver Plume.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the police judge to sign a letter of support to the town of Silver Plume. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you.
Good job, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy.
That's
It's our
your
pleasure.
job. Good deal.
Yes.
So, good job.
Okay. So, we're on to staff items. First, under staff items is the Clear Creek Resiliency Collaborative update. So both Rick and I attended that virtually last week. And it used to be, actually in the beginning, it was almost weekly, and then it got mixed in with CARES Act meetings. And then, so they went like alternate weeks, twice a month, and then it went to once a month. And then we skipped a few weeks, and now we're shifting to just quarterly, just to keep the group in touch with each other to see who's doing what funding they're looking for, what activities. A lot of focus on mental health, behavioral health, and a lot of focus on economic recovery, housing. What am I missing? The
ARPA funds too, they talked about.
right.
And then just the date that, but Mary had done that. Who's this one?
What people's plans for using the ARPA funds are. Yeah, recreation management, because this group is also sort of, an extension of the commissioners, and the commissioners still have a big task ahead, is to help us and all of us do in our own way, to replace the funding, the financial support that we've been counting on from Henderson Mine all these years, that is just gradually reducing. And what do we do instead of that to keep us running, and if we're pushing, to get people to come up and recreate with us, how do we manage those crowds in the recreational properties and so on, so, did I cover it?
Yeah, they did, they mentioned, I put it in my staff report too, the CCRC, that's what that meant. They did mention just the strong need for multi-jurisdictional housing authority, just to get us all together so that we can go after grants collaboratively and be thinking for planning properties, county properties, city property, or town properties, codes, grants and fundings, just a strong need to be consistent together. We could do more together than we could do alone.
Yeah.
That was the last thing that they
So.
mentioned.
And as you might imagine, the mayors and commissioners quarterly update the very next morning had a lot of similar conversation. We did inform the mayors and commissioners group that we were still talking about doing a lodging tax ballot issue. They are thinking about putting a ballot issue on to allow them. There was a bill that went through that allows them to use lodging tax for other things besides marketing. So they're trying to find the right balance between what the Tourism Bureau still needs in order to promote our concerns and draw people, and what the other funds might be useful for, hence the housing, the multi-jurisdictional housing authority. But that has to go to the voters, so they're working through that.
How much leeway do they have with those additional funds, or how they can spread that? I mean, does it with the lodging tax for the county?
Is there a percentage? I think it would up to a certain percentage, but I forget what that is. Can be other than marketing.
Okay.
So, but they're wanting to make sure they don't shortchange the Tourism Bureau.
Right.
There's no sense doing that.
So as we're considering our own lodging tax here, we need to have that in order by.
We don't have that same.
No, I understand that, but I mean, if you're talking our lodging tax, not discretionary spending, but where we were imposing it for Georgetown.
Right.
In order for that to go on the ballot in November, correct? Is that what we're talking about, a November ballot?
That's what we've been talking about, yeah.
We need to have that decided by August.
Okay, we haven't worked out that timeline, but it's generally, yeah.
Right, I mean, so because the dates on here on the task list, and we keep talking about it, on the ballot, but then we need to have all of our organization in detail for that.
And I've got that calendar with those deadlines downstairs, so I can get you all of that.
But Mary's right that generally last week in August, first week in September, it varies a little bit, is the drop dead to get your ballot language, the time clerk and recorder.
Right.
That's really the hard edge.
And then before that, you figure out what your Tabor estimate of the first year of revenues are. We've got some options. It can be a sales tax, it could be an enterprise tax, so it's just by transaction rather than a percent. So there are some options for how we do this.
Right, and I understand that, but the reason I'm questioning and kind of getting this out there in front of us is so that it also can get out in front of business promotions. They meet monthly. Next week will be their meeting. And I know they certainly have an opinion on it, but for them, it's they've got like 3 more meetings before the recommendation comes to us for us to kind of finalize things. So I'd like to be able to have them start to be able to discuss it with more specifics.
Right.
So,
And what we're probably gonna end up needing from them is what's their, what do they anticipate their operating budget is gonna need to be? And we kind of work backwards through how do we structure that lodging tax to fund that? So that's one of the things that we'll need from Promotions Commission is.
right, so their deadline needs to be before our deadline so that we can make.
Correct. Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of
Sure.
ease that into.
You betcha.
That's being proactive.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on either the Resiliency Collaborative update or the Mayors and Commissioners updates? Did I miss anything on Mayors and Commissioners?
Let me see here. They talked about joint collaboration for building departments. Just to make sure codes, some of us, we're about county tourism excess revenue and what can be done. I guess you mentioned that. County purchased a new software system called Bang the Table. It's for community engagement and input. And they purchased it, but they're looking to see what it would cost if it does cost for the municipalities to be able to use that too. I've heard of it because they reached out to Brush back, 3 or 4 months ago. And they had communicated to me that ARPA funds could be used for that, for the municipalities to spend. But we had already allocated all of our funds back in Brush, so it wasn't an option for us, but it's not really expensive. So I think we just need to entertain and talk to the county to find out what would our portion be.
Catchy name. Catchy name.
Bang
Bang
the
the table.
table. Have a voice. We did mention recreational management and master planning. Clear Creek Fire Authority did mention that they will not consider a merger with EMS at this time, but they will still need funding for more staff to prepare for wildfire mitigation, and is considering raising 2 mills to hire 2 full-time firefighters in Georgetown and 2 in Idaho Springs. So they that will bolster their staff. It still will not be enough, but that their consideration, adding that to the mills, right, increasing the 2 mills. No, that was the only thing. That was the last thing that they discussed.
Okay. All right. Okay, next, based on the updated expense estimates for the infrastructure costs for the mill site housing project, we might have an opportunity to apply for a grant from Freeport McMoran that would need some match. I don't have all the details, but the first step is providing them with a letter of intent and laying it out for them, just here's what we're thinking. And then you go through the formal grant application process, and just wanted to get the board's input on all of that because.
So
Just the Habitat project.
Yes.
in the mill site, yeah, and they're willing to pitch, that's great.
So Freeport McMoran has some funds available, and because they have to, their grants have to go towards municipalities, it can't go towards, they can't be awarded to Habitat, we've got to be the applicant.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
okay,
Let's do it.
so,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right.
Is
I
there
will be
any
working.
drawback?
Yes, sorry?
Is there any drawback? Can they put restrictions on that'll screw us up later?
Can they put what restrictions?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Can they put restrictions on or anything like that that'll trip us up later if we accept their grant? Like I've seen housing ones where they required for the first so many years it had to go to under some number income people rather than the going rate or something like that. Is there any kind of silly clause that could be a problem?
Not that I'm aware of. This is just for the infrastructure. It's not for the construction of the buildings themselves, so, and we would be made.
To pay them back, or, you know, I mean, that I'm looking for what is the bad side of them giving
If
us.
I find any, I will bring it to the board, absolutely, count on it. Okay. So next, we would have the town administrator's report. Any questions for Rick on that?
What have you done, Kristen?
Well, in 1 week. You know what I thought was funny is I do meet with senior advisors with CCCMA. And they all told me that I was doing too much too fast.
Yeah, don't pay attention.
They're like, you don't have to solve the world in 1 week. But I love them because.
But if you can.
But if I can, but they're good to pace. They don't want to see someone burn out. And so I'll give it just in general, just a couple minutes.
Sure.
I'm still ecstatic that I'm here. I love it. I love my staff. I've had a great interaction with them. I've moved to staff meetings to weekly. I feel like there's a lot for me to catch up, and every 2 weeks just puts me behind. And it's good to coordinate with projects to get insight, just information, stuff that I wouldn't catch without them. I've also been doing ride-alongs just to get the lay of the land, to see the projects that we talked about, you know, and get the institutional knowledge behind these things. I am in learning mode and just trying to gather as much information as possible. So the things that are on my horizon is I want to take the next few months to just continue to gain understanding. But what will be coming is I'd like to consider increasing our salary with our staff. I've been looking at it and reviewing it. And so that's coming, but I know that we're looking at surveys, we're looking at past surveys.
I'm on your side with that
Okay.
regard because I know that Scott Schaefer had a problem hiring because he was going up against the likes of McDonald's.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
These guys are heavy equipment operators and they can get more
I'm
money.
concerned. I'm greatly concerned, not just for our lower staff, but for our top staff.
Well, also, you know, in the state of Colorado, Georgetown and Idaho Springs are notoriously the lowest paid in the water and wastewater industry.
They are, and I'm glad you pointed that out. But it's across the board. When I've looked at them already, I was kind of stunned of just how low our salaries are. So I would like to take some time, not do a knee-jerk reaction, but really evaluate this so that it is fair for our people. I want to retain our people. I don't want them to be burned out, and so I want to fight for that. And then the next part will be the competitive recruitment. How do we gain, you know, the other side is not
increasing the amount of pay is one way.
No.
I mean, I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
you know, when you see people advertising for, you know, 15 years experience, and you gotta have a master's degree and it's $23 an hour.
I know.
I've got a special salute to that.
Yeah, give them a sign.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that you guys feel the same way because I want our staff to be supported. Second is I want to make sure I understand what their real needs are, short-term, long-term, and I will bring those to you as well. And so we're going to be really looking at our budget and looking at things well to make sure we're good, responsible for this. But that's the way I want to move forward, and excited that you guys are in support of that. And I'm taking time every day to go and interact with our business community. I feel like it's really important to make these connections, that they feel like I want to be available. I want to listen. I want to learn. I've gone to the Georgetown Trust meeting, board meeting, to meet them. Super well supportive and made me feel welcome. So I'm just in that stage right now where just trying to gain a lot of just understanding of how things are going. Very appreciative of the support of the communities feel just about the historic district as we have. And so it's welcome to my world. I think the things that I look and I can see the long-term concerns, going back to staff again, our area has gone so much up in value that it's scary to think, our salaries, they're fine. Our city guys are fine with salaries, but what if something happens? Like for me, even though my pay is high, I can't even find a house right now that I can afford. I'm kind of stunned. So I'm like, what if our wastewater guy leaves? How is he gonna find housing? So it's buy his house. I can buy his house. So it's kind of scary to think of where we're at right now. Our staff, we're great, but the values are just to live here keep going skyrocketing right now. So I'm seeing it firsthand, and it just concerns me. So, and I know you're aware of that. I'm just not.
Well, I can give you an example. There's a certain municipality that I'll go unnamed, not us, but some close by, that they're not will, their wastewater plant is rated a B level plant. So if an operator has an A, it doesn't matter, they're still going to pay them a B level.
Yeah.
And that's how you get substandard work. Because you know what, if they're not going to rise to the occasion, why should he?
Correct. Well, I hope our people don't feel that way, because I really believe in development. I really want them to be the best, but I want them to be here because they feel valued. We have a beautiful community, and so thank you for your support in saying these things. Yeah,
What's mostly me.
Okay.
Mostly.
Yeah, but you're all about wastewater.
You're just,
What about our staff here in town hall? Come on.
Sure.
Let's hear it for them.
Free cars, like I said, I never got my car, but maybe they can benefit from my influence.
If they just step up and
Just hope you can pick me up every now and then.
Any questions from the board for Rick? Okay, moving on. Strauss Park update report. The restroom got set in place yesterday. So awesome. Great work, everybody. Great work, Bob. The booths have been removed, and they are salvaging what lumber they can, and it'll be saved for the rebuild. And so everything's moving along. Jerry just asked me to let him do the last staff item on the question on the quorum from the special meeting on March 19th.
19th, yep. This came up, as you know, on approval of minutes from the last meeting. Selectman Powell asked the question, and I promised that I would look, and so I have, and I can give you the following short report. The issue is really around whether or not there was a quorum in that meeting, and sort of what the dynamics are and consequences. Under the charter, the 6.1 of the charter, that's the job of the police judge. The police judge breaks ties, presides at the meetings, signs various documents, etc. But the police judge is not a member of the Board of Selectmen, even though you operate in that way cooperatively together. The police judge does not have a vote as a selectman, just to break ties. The charter at 2.1 establishes the Board of Selectmen, and it says the Board of Selectmen is 2 people from each ward. So that's a 6-member board. The quorum of the Board of Selectmen is a majority of that board, so a quorum is 4. So taking us to March the 19th, the meeting, as I understand, was not there, but as I understand it, there were 4 members present at the beginning or somewhere along there. You were there and I wasn't, so you all know better than I. But when Selectman Powell left that meeting, the quorum was lost. Pursuant to the code, what that meant is that it became a study session at which you can't take any actions, any formal actions that bind the town. And as I understand it, there were no votes or actions taken at or after that meeting. And so that brings us to the meeting of April the 12th, because the meeting around on the 19th was all about the town administrator selection process. And so no decisions were made on the meeting of the 12th. You had a quorum present. That was your last meeting 2 weeks ago. At that meeting where there was a quorum, the Board of Selectmen approved the appointment of Mr. Krugelian. I'll get that right. I'm working on it.
Hey, I just go by Ken.
Okay. Those actions on April the 12th were final and binding, and they bind the town, they bind Mr. Krugelian to that contract. And that's what I can tell you. The topic, no question, on the 19th became a study session because you had lost the quorum. When you went down to 3, whenever that was in the meeting, you lost the quorum, became a study session. Couldn't take binding actions, apparently didn't take any. Had you, they wouldn't have been binding, but you had every right and frankly obligation to take such actions as you felt necessary on the 12th of April. And the actions you took were supported by a quorum. And that's when you made your appointment of the new town administrator. Notice I avoided using his pronouncing his name enough. But that's the landscape. I think the important takeaway is while the police judge votes occasionally to break ties, and the police judge is not a member of the board. And that pattern varies across the state, I will say. So it's not surprising that there's some doubt there. For example, in home rule municipalities, half of the time, the mayor is also a member of the body and votes, but it has to do with their charter and what the charter says. If you're in Steamboat Springs, which is a home rule community, they have a council president who rotates every year, I think, whereas the police judge rotates every 2 years, and the council president votes just like anyone else. I think City of Lakewood, I think that's also the case. They have a huge council. I think it's 11 people altogether, 10, I think it's 10. And that's a lot of people. But the point is that the presiding officer sometimes is a member of the body for quorum purposes and sometimes not. You have to look at the charter to determine that. In Georgetown's case, the police judge is not a member of the board, so does not count toward a quorum. So that's my report. Questions about my report?
Thank you.
Deanne has a question, yes?
I just wanted to say that it should have been declared a work session, and we should have had an in-depth report presented on the 12th. That didn't happen. It undoubtedly would come out to the same end or answer. I have no qualms about Rick being the wonderful one. You notice how I didn't even try his last name. And it, I'm wondering if it was challenged, the legality of its standing when we didn't go through the way it's laid out in, what is it, section 7 point something or other, that you bring the work session to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen votes on, what they want, and you go from there whenever it's a work session, which that should have turned into.
And two things around, fair question, 2 things around that. There's a code provision that says if you fail to have a quorum, you turn into a work session. That's true. It also says that for example, a public hearing item goes to the next meeting. And you can understand why that is, because if people were showing up for a public hearing, then the next meeting they need to show up for that. This is not a public hearing item. And so for that reason, the board, the fact that the meeting got turned into a study session does not prevent or bar the Board of Selectmen from taking a later action, which they did, to decide to appoint a town administrator. Because elsewhere, hang on, I see your hand. Elsewhere in the territorial charter, your obligation is to appoint a town administrator. And that charter obligation can't be precluded to you by virtue of your having considered it in a study session context, and it wasn't something that was a public hearing that had to be continued and done on the next meeting. So I understand the question about, well, let's just make sure the appointment's solid, and my opinion and answer to you on that is, yes, it is.
You're stuck with
I
us.
can't run.
You're
You
stuck with
can't,
us.
can't
You're
run.
stuck with us.
If Russ-
Even
if you were,
even
if you were on
can't
the
find a
fence.
house, you're still stuck.
Basement.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay. All right. Okay, any other matters from the board? Last time I did go to adjournment much quicker than I intended, and I wanted to put in a thank you before we hit adjournment tonight. A thank you to Steve Robbie for his excellent work for us and guidance and getting us through the administrator selection process. He did a fabulous job for us, and I wanted to express my thanks to him. So that way it gets in there. So anything else?
Is there any update on COVID actions?
Nope.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
So one last thing is I would love to get time with each one of you.
Hey, real quick, can you turn off the recording?
Yes, we're adjourned.
I just need